Stop everything you're doing right now and pay attention to this video that could save your life. Did you know there is a food that may help prevent cancer? It sounds unbelievable, but it's real. I am a medical specialist, and I took some time to share important tips and reveal 5 foods that may help with cancer prevention. And I guarantee you, number 2 on this list will surprise you. But before we begin, tell me your age in the comments and whether someone in your family has or has ever had a cancer diagnosis. You wake up every day with that strange feeling, a tiredness that coffee can't shake, a quiet inflammation that shows up as stiffness in your joints when you get out of bed, that puffiness in your face you blamed on getting older, that heavy digestion after lunch that just won't quit. You think it's normal. You think it's just modern life catching up with you. You got used to it. But what if I told you that inside your own kitchen, on the spice rack, in the back of the refrigerator, inside that grocery bag you brought home yesterday, there are 5 cheap, common foods that most American households already have. Foods that can activate your body's natural protection mechanisms against chronic inflammation, accelerated cellular aging, and even the development of certain types of cancer. And what if I told you on top of that, that almost everyone prepares these foods the wrong way and ends up losing most of the benefits in the process? I'm a physician with nearly 20 years of clinical experience, and over the past several years I've dedicated a good part of my time to studying what science has been calling functional preventive nutrition. In other words, how everyday foods act inside the body like silent remedies, switching on chemical pathways of protection that conventional medicine often overlooks. And I need to be honest with you before anything else. The title of this video talks about preventing cancer, and I can't promise you that eating turmeric is going to spare you from a disease. Cancer is a complex, multifactorial reality with genetic, environmental, hormonal, and emotional components. No single food on its own is a vaccine against it. But science has shown, with solid studies published in respected international journals, that certain compounds found in common foods are capable of activating protective genes, lowering chronic inflammation, and making it harder for abnormal cells to grow. My commitment to you is medical truth, not sensationalism. And the truth is that these 5 foods, when consumed the right way, with the right frequency, alongside other healthy habits, can meaningfully shift the internal environment of your body. Think about that. They don't cure, they protect. And stick with me until the end, because the 5th food on the list is the one that surprises my patients the most. Almost nobody imagines the power it has, and almost everybody throws away exactly the part that matters most. Before I walk you through the pillars of this protocol, I need to tell you about Margaret. 56 years old, home cook through and through, born and raised in Springfield, Missouri, mother of 4, grandmother of 7. She walked into my office on a Tuesday morning with a folder full of test results under her arm and red eyes from crying in the car before she came in. Her husband had passed away from colon cancer the year before, and now she was bringing me a colonoscopy report with small polyps, nothing malignant, but with a recommendation for close follow-up. She said to me in a low voice, "Doctor, I watched my husband suffer. I don't want to walk that same road. Help me do something, anything, before it's too late." That moment stuck with me, because Margaret wasn't asking for a miracle. She was asking for a chance. And that chance is exactly what evidence-based preventive nutrition can offer. It was with her that I put together the protocol I'm about to share with you. 5 foods, 5 pillars. All of them available at any regular grocery store, even at discount markets. No expensive supplements, no imported formulas. The first pillar is turmeric. That intense yellow spice a lot of people sprinkle on rice or chicken without ever realizing what it does on the inside. The main active compound in turmeric is called curcumin, and curcumin is one of the most studied natural substances of the past decade in the world. A review published in the journal Nutrients in 2019 looked at hundreds of studies on curcumin and concluded that it has anti-inflammatory action comparable to some synthetic medications, without the side effects. Researchers at the MD Anderson Cancer Center in Texas demonstrated in preclinical studies that curcumin interferes with multiple pathways that cancer cells use to survive and multiply. Think with me here. Chronic inflammation is like a fire that never quite goes out inside the body. It's involved in the origin of almost every modern disease, from diabetes to cancer, from Alzheimer's to heart disease. Curcumin acts like a chemical firefighter, pouring water on that fire. But here's the point almost nobody talks about. Pure curcumin, on its own, is poorly absorbed by the intestine. You can sprinkle turmeric on your rice every single day and absorb less than 5% of the active compound. It's like sending a soldier into battle with no ammunition. The right way to consume turmeric involves 3 things. First, combine it with a healthy fat, like extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, or avocado. Curcumin is fat-soluble, meaning it needs fat to be absorbed. Second, combine it with black pepper. Piperine, the compound in black pepper, increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%, according to a classic study published in 1998 in the journal Planta Medica. Third, apply gentle heat. Mild warming helps release the active compounds. Translated to the kitchen, the right way is a teaspoon of turmeric powder, lightly warmed in a tablespoon of olive oil, with a generous pinch of freshly ground black pepper. Add it to soups, scrambled eggs, roasted vegetables, fish, even brown rice. Every day, small amount, daily frequency. And you know what else? People who eat turmeric only once in a while, in a Sunday curry or a holiday dish, are practically wasting their money. The effect is cumulative. It builds over time. The second pillar is raw garlic. Yes, garlic. The one sitting in your kitchen right now, next to the onions. Garlic contains a compound called allicin, which is only released when garlic is crushed or chopped and exposed to air. Researchers at Penn State University published, in the journal Cancer Prevention Research, studies showing that regular consumption of raw garlic is associated with a reduced risk of stomach, colon, and even prostate cancer in populations that eat it frequently. The American Cancer Society, in its review of phytochemicals, recognizes garlic as one of the foods with the strongest evidence of chemoprotective effects. Allicin is like a microscopic cleanup crew circulating through the bloodstream, helping to neutralize oxidative substances that damage cellular DNA. And it's in that DNA damage, repeated over years, that the road to serious disease often begins. But here's the most common mistake, and I see this all the time in my office. People grab a garlic clove, toss it straight into the hot skillet, saute it for 2 minutes, and think they're protecting themselves. They're not. Heat destroys allicin in less than 60 seconds. Think about that. You wipe out the most valuable compound before the rest of the food even hits the pan. The right way is to crush or chop the raw garlic. Let it rest for 10 to 15 minutes at room temperature so the allicin fully develops, and only then add it to your food at the end of cooking, when the heat is off or on the lowest setting. Or, even better, eat a portion raw, finely chopped, in a salad with olive oil and lemon juice. I know it sounds excessive, but let me show you. Margaret, the patient I mentioned a moment ago, started eating a clove of raw, chopped garlic every day at lunch, resting for 15 minutes before going on her plate. In 3 months, her inflammatory blood markers dropped significantly. It wasn't just the garlic, of course, but the garlic was part of it. If this content is helping you, if you're learning something you didn't know before, I'm going to ask you one favor. Hit that like button right now. That simple gesture helps this video reach more people who need this information, especially older folks, who often don't get proper nutritional guidance from their doctors. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now and turn on the notification bell. And tell me in the comments which state you're watching from. I love seeing where this community is growing. The third pillar is broccoli, and its close relatives like kale, red cabbage, cauliflower, and arugula, the cruciferous family. And the numbers here are impressive. A study published in the journal Cancer Epidemiology, Biomarkers and Prevention, conducted by researchers at Johns Hopkins University, showed that people who eat cruciferous vegetables at least 5 times a week have a statistically significant reduction in the risk of several types of cancer, including breast, lung, and colon. The substance responsible for much of this effect is called sulforaphane. Sulforaphane is like a chemical key that switches on, inside our cells, a gene called NRF2. That gene is the conductor of the body's natural antioxidant defense. When it's activated, the body starts producing more detoxification enzymes, neutralizing more free radicals, and repairing DNA damage faster. Notice this detail. We're not talking about an outside supplement. We're talking about activating a defense system that's already inside you, waiting for the right signal. Here's the catch. Almost everyone boils broccoli in water, covers the pot, waits for it to go soft, and pours the water down the drain. That's the mistake. Prolonged boiling destroys up to 80% of the sulforaphane, and most of the protective compounds end up going right down the sink. The right way is to steam it for 3 to 4 minutes at most. The broccoli should stay bright green, with a slight resistance to the fork. Another option is eating it raw in salads or blended into green smoothies with lemon. And one tip that changed the way I guide my patients: chop the broccoli and let it rest for 40 minutes before cooking. That rest period allows an enzyme called myrosinase to convert the inactive precursor into active sulforaphane. Without that rest, you cook the vegetable before the chemical transformation can take place. Now I need to introduce you to Robert. 68 years old, retired cab driver, born in Cleveland, Ohio, married for 40 years, big fan of sports radio and TV in the evening. He came to my office because his wife pushed him to, after she read something about prevention. When I looked at his eating habits, I got concerned. Red meat almost every day, barely any vegetables, soda at lunch, packaged cookies in the afternoon, beer on the weekends. He told me, "Doc, I never liked that green stuff. That's rabbit food." And I smiled because I'd heard that line 1,000 times before. But I started small. I asked him to add a portion of steamed broccoli with raw garlic and olive oil twice a week, at lunch. That's it. I didn't take anything out of his routine. I just added. In 6 months, he had traded the soda for sparkling water with lemon, and broccoli was on his plate 5 times a week. The intestinal inflammation that had shown up on his tests started to regress. His triglycerides came down, and he told me, at his last appointment, "Doc, I've got more energy. I don't know if it's the broccoli or if it's the hope. Maybe it's both." The fourth pillar is extra virgin olive oil. And here I need to give you an important warning. Not every olive oil on the supermarket shelf is the real thing. True extra virgin olive oil contains a compound called oleocanthal. Researchers at Rutgers University published, in the journal Molecular and Cellular Oncology, a study showing that oleocanthal is capable of inducing the death of cancer cells in laboratory conditions without harming healthy cells. Another study, published in the European Journal of Cancer Prevention, associated regular consumption of extra virgin olive oil with a reduced risk of breast cancer in Mediterranean populations. Oleocanthal acts like a natural anti-inflammatory, with a mechanism similar to ibuprofen, but without the side effects on the stomach and kidneys. It's like having a gentle anti-inflammatory entering your body every day, drop by drop. But the mistake here is huge. People buy cheap olive oil, of questionable origin, often adulterated with soybean or canola oil. And then they heat that oil on high flame to fry food. When olive oil goes above 350 degrees Fahrenheit, oleocanthal breaks down and the oil oxidizes, losing its protective properties. The right way is to use extra virgin olive oil of good quality, with acidity below 0.5%, used cold. Drizzle it over salad, over cooked beans, over steamed vegetables, over fish after roasting. 1 to 2 tablespoons a day, and store it in a dark bottle, away from light and heat. In plain English, olive oil is the wild card of the protocol. It pairs with almost every other food on the list. It's the carrier for curcumin, the seasoning for broccoli, the base for the salad with raw garlic. And now we get to the fifth pillar, the food I promised at the beginning, the one that surprises people the most in my office: flaxseed. That little brown seed a lot of people have bought at some point, left in the pantry, forgot about, and tossed out months later. Flaxseed is one of the largest plant sources of lignans, compounds with action similar to protective hormones. Researchers at the University of Toronto, in Canada, published in the journal Clinical Cancer Research a study with women recently diagnosed with breast cancer. Those who consumed ground flaxseed daily for several weeks before surgery showed measurable reduction in tumor cell growth in the tissues analyzed after the operation. You heard that right. A cheap seed found in any neighborhood grocery store with measurable effects in clinical studies on real human beings. Flaxseed is also rich in plant-based omega-3, insoluble fibers that feed the good bacteria in the gut, and in antioxidants that protect cellular membranes. But here's the mistake that throws it all away. Most people buy flaxseed whole and consume it that way. The outer shell of flaxseed is hard, tough, practically indigestible by the human system. You swallow the whole seed, and it passes through the intestine without being absorbed. You're literally flushing your money down the toilet. The right way is to grind the flaxseed right before consumption, in a small coffee grinder or blender, in small portions, and use it immediately. 1 tablespoon a day, sprinkled on yogurt, on chopped fruit, on warm soup. Not in boiling liquid because extreme heat breaks down the omega-3. And don't buy pre-ground flaxseed in large packages because it oxidizes within a few weeks and loses its properties. The difference between the whole seed and the seed freshly ground is dramatic. It's like buying an expensive medication and throwing the whole bottle in the trash. Almost nobody tells you this. I'm telling you. And here I need to make a confession. What hurts me most as a physician isn't when a patient comes in with a serious diagnosis. It's when they tell me, "Doc, if I had known this 20 years ago, maybe my story would be different." I hear that all the time. Smart, hardworking, dedicated people who spent their whole lives trying to take care of themselves, but who never got proper guidance on how to prepare their food. Who bought turmeric without knowing about the black pepper. Who boiled broccoli into mush. Who poured whole flaxseed into their morning milk and tossed the rest in the trash. That gap between what science knows and what makes it to the average American family table bothers me deeply, and that's why this video exists. Now I want to introduce you to Carol, 62 years old, retired seamstress, born in Toledo, Ohio, widowed, lives with her youngest daughter. She came to me with chronic fatigue, joint pain in her knees, blood tests showing widespread inflammation, elevated cholesterol, and prediabetes. I didn't introduce any new medication in the first month. I asked her to follow strictly these 5 pillars. Turmeric with black pepper and olive oil in her cooking every day. Raw garlic chopped, rested, at lunch. Steamed broccoli 3 times a week. Extra virgin olive oil used cold at meals. Ground flaxseed prepared fresh on her morning yogurt. In 4 months, she came back to the office with test results that looked like they belonged to a different person. Fasting blood sugar, normalized. Cholesterol, back in the safe range. Inflammation markers, cut in half. And she told me, with that smile you never forget, "Doctor, something feels different inside. I woke up the other day with lightness in my body, no knee pain for the first time in years." It's not magic. It's biochemistry. It's the body responding to the right signal at the right time in the right form. Let me recap the protocol so nothing slips through the cracks. Turmeric, always with a healthy fat and black pepper, gently warmed, 1 teaspoon a day, every day. Raw garlic, crushed and rested for 15 minutes, added at the end of cooking or consumed raw in salad, 1 to 2 cloves a day. Broccoli and cruciferous vegetables, chopped and rested for 40 minutes, steamed for 3 to 4 minutes, 5 servings a week. Extra virgin olive oil of good quality, used cold, 1 to 2 tablespoons a day. Flaxseed ground right before eating, 1 tablespoon a day. And what to avoid: frying these foods, overcooking them, buying cheap products with no clear origin, eating them only once in a while, storing ground products for too long. And whenever you're considering any meaningful change to your routine, talk to your doctor. That's a principle that never changes. If you're on blood thinners, for example, garlic and flaxseed in large amounts can interact. If you have gallstones, high-dose turmeric may not be advisable. Every body is unique. Your body is not your enemy. It's trying all the time to balance itself, to heal itself, to protect itself. Chronic inflammation is the most common cry for help in that process. And the right foods, prepared the right way, are the oldest and most affordable answer humanity has ever found to that cry. If you saw yourself in any of these stories, if this information is making sense to you, share this video with that mom who cooks for the whole family and wants to look after everyone, with that aunt who keeps buying health foods without knowing how to use them, with that friend who lost someone to cancer and is looking for a way to protect themselves. Share it. It might be the most useful video they get all year. In the next video, I'm going to reveal the 3 cheap, common kitchen seasonings that are quietly damaging your liver, and most people use them every single day without knowing. The second one on the list is going to surprise you, because it's in almost every American kitchen. You don't want to miss it. Take care of your kitchen. It's the first pharmacy in your home, and you're the one who decides what comes out of it every single day.